Hello everyone, welcome to this presentation on how to make the transition from SCPASS to Aspire. We're going to look during this presentation at using scores for student group identification, and this will apply to identifying high achieving students as far as exemplary 4 and 5, as well as students who would have fallen into a pass not met range, such as identifying students who need tutoring or things like that. When we look at achievement levels, what we are used to are SCPASS achievement levels, which are not met, met, and exemplary, or some of you may use not met 1, not met 2, met 3, E4, and E5 levels. What we have now starting this year were Aspire readiness levels. We have needs support, close, ready, and exceeding. When we're trying to use a new test to identify a similar group of students as we used to use PASS for, I'm going to start by answering a question. And the first question I'm going to try to answer is there a connection between PASS cutoffs as far as their achievement levels compared to Aspire cutoffs, their readiness levels? We're going to look at two sets of levels comparisons. I wanted to look at math and reading, so the first one will be reading, and I wanted to look at middle school and elementary. So the first group will be reading cutoff comparison for grade 7, and the second one is going to be a math cutoff comparison for grade 5. We're going to have our Aspire readiness levels on the top and the MAP PASS achievement levels on the bottom part of this graph. Now, the reason I put MAP/PASS is because a connection has already been made between MAP and PASS, where MAP uses percentiles to determine where they would have fallen on PASS. So you'll understand in a minute. For Aspire, the top graph are the students, the group of students that would fall into needs support. These students would have scored in the 0 to 38-ish percentile range, and then on the bottom part we see the percentile range for not met 1, and then we see close compared to not met 2, ready compared to met 3, and then that green is exceeding on top, and then we have the E4, and then that last green bar at the bottom is the E5. Now, as you can see, very different ranges for these students. We have a very small percentile for students that would be deemed exceeding. If you are currently using exemplary 4 and 5 to identify a group of students for, let's say, a magnet program qualification, then you can't just switch to exceeding, or you're going to have a totally different group of students in a different achievement bracket. For math, grade 5, the comparison is very similar, as you can see. So if right now, again, you're using exemplary 4 and 5 to identify a certain group, if you automatically switch to exceeding for this subject for this grade, you're going to have a very different group of students in a very different achievement bracket. Now, these are the only two examples I did, but the same story is true throughout math and reading and all grades 3 through 8. So the next step is in finding connections between these two tests, between PASS and Aspire. And MAP really is the common theme when we're finding connections. So the question number 1, is there a connection between PASS cutoffs compared to Aspire cutoffs? The answer is no. So you cannot use exceeding students. They are not a similar group of students as those formerly deemed exemplary. That's not going to work. The second question I asked myself, is there a connection between PASS achievement and Aspire achievement? So to answer this, What I did was I took all of the students in the district at each grade level who tested MAP math and Aspire math, and I lined up their scores. So I took Johnny Smith, his MAP math percentile score, and I lined it up right next to his Aspire math percentile score. And I did correlations for every grade level for every subject. So the students included in these correlations, they all are student-to-student comparisons. They all tested the same subject on MAP and Aspire, and we're going to look at how closely they align. This group is the reading group for grade 7. I had 754 students in 7th grade last year who tested both reading in Aspire and reading in MAP. The mathematical correlation between their scores is a 0.8, which is very strong. And I don't know how familiar you are with mathematical correlations, but anything over a 0.7 mathematically is considered a very strong correlation. As you can see with the black trend lines, they are very close together and they are very close to being parallel, which means the Aspire percentile achievement and the MAP percentile achievement increase at very consistent rates. This is the same kind of chart for grade 5 math. As you can see at the top, I had 684 students in this one sample, and the correlation is a 0.7, which is still a very strong correlation for these students. So to answer the second question, is there a connection between PASS achievement and Aspire achievement? The answer is sort of. First, we have to assume that the MAP percentile range cutoffs were correctly linked to PASS. Now, the problem with doing this is that when standards changed last year, MAP percentile cutoffs changed for the different achievement levels, and tests changed all at the same time. So the new MAP cutoffs, as far as the percentiles falling into not met 1, 2, and all the levels, those were never tested against PASS because the same year they changed, we switched to Aspire. That's the problem in doing this. However, MAP is directly linked to Aspire based on percentile achievement. And the implication here is that percentile achievement on one test is highly and strongly predictive of percentile achievement on the other. Okay, so in making the final transition from SCPASS to Aspire in identifying students, we're going to answer question number 3. Can we use Aspire scores to identify a group of students similar to how we used PASS scores? And the answer is yes. Now, this is the closest thing we have. It can still change based on research and more data, but for now, this is the closest thing we have. Using this table, you can use the first column to look for what you used to use, the second column to see where those same students would have fallen for MAP, and the third column to see what you should currently use to identify the same group of students. If you used to use the first column, exemplary 5, then now you would use the last percentile range to qualify that same group of students, for instance, a magnet program, 90 to 99th percentile. And then at the bottom, if you used to use not met 1 to qualify certain students for tutoring or after school programs or things like that, then now if you look to the right, you can use the Aspire column, the 0 to 24th percentile achievers, to identify the same type of group of students. Now, if you have questions, please call me. My name is Suzanne Henderson, and I'm at the Assessment Department here at the District Office. And I hope this will be of some help to everyone. Thank you for watching.